I cannot stand Mr. Baseball.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I knew it.
Here we go.
Yeah, I tried to throw a little bit back.
Love that logo, love that jersey, love that color scheme, everything about it. Welcome to episode 80 of the None Other Sports Podcast. This is the home of sports talk for the average Joe. My name is Jason.
I'm David.
And welcome back, everyone, to this episode. I don't know why I said that. That makes no fucking sense, but we're just going to roll with it. It's late. It's been a hectic last 2 weeks for me.
It's been a week.
It has. Let's start things off hot and heavy. The Wizards and the Caps are locating. This isn't even a potential. They are locating. But are they really, though?
I mean, from what I've read and everything else, they're still they're still close to DC, but they're moving to Virginia.
Kind of like when they were playing in Landover, Maryland, and they were the Washington teams, right?
Yeah, but you know how everything else is. Will they stay Washington?
They're not. There's no way they're going to be the Virginia Capitals.
Yeah, I would not see
Virginia Wizards.
That changing. I wouldn't see that changing, but it would be funny as hell.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, it's interesting because they're probably going to move into a bigger complex, and it's supposed to be a $2 billion entertainment complex that they're moving to as far as like where the arena's at, which is great stuff. I mean, you want these teams to play in big arenas that can draw big crowds.
I just hope it's easier.
And not that I've seen anyone speak negatively about this as far as on social media, be it Facebook or Reddit or anywhere else in between. But I can't see anyone getting real worked up over this because it's still in the DC metropolitan area. They're not in DC proper, but they weren't in DC proper in the 70s and 80s and most of the 90s either. So
no, they weren't.
I don't know what it's called now, but the MCI Center, formerly the Verizon Center, formerly the I don't know Center, that didn't open up until
Center.
That didn't open up until
memories.
December of 1997. So for a little over 20 years, they played in DC proper. Like
it's the Capital One Arena now.
Okay, well, whatever.
Oh, the MCI Center. Wow. That's dating.
You know why I remember this? I'm going to be honest. I remember that because the second thing to happen at the MCI Center after it opened in 97 was Starrcade 97, Hogan versus Sting, that WCW had built for like a whole freaking year. But it legitimately was a Caps game, and then like the next night was Starrcade. So like those are the things that opened up the MCI Center. So it's ingrained in my head, the MCI Center.
What was it when we went? Was it the MCI
It was
Center?
the Verizon Center.
Was it the Verizon Center at the time? Yeah,
Yeah.
3 hockey games in 2 weeks. That was fun.
I was at 2 of those because I couldn't afford a third. Because
barely
I
could
was
afford
working
the
in a
third.
deli at the time.
I could barely afford the third, but we did it. Yeah, well, you went to Jersey where they were handing out Hershey. It was Jersey and Washington that you went to.
Yeah, we saw the Devils and the Kings.
Yep.
That was one weekend.
And then I think midweek was the Flyers Caps. Because it was
it was a weekend.
Because I know it was right. I think it was a Sunday was the game because I think that Saturday was the game where
it was Friday and Saturday.
I think it was the Flyers and Senators. That was the game
Friday
where they
night.
got the most penalty minutes.
That was a Friday night. Saturday night was the next night where we basically saw the Philadelphia Phantoms taking on the Washington Capitals.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
And that tells you how old it is that they were the Philadelphia Phantoms at the time, not the Adirondack Phantoms or the Lehigh Valley Phantoms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny. It was where the Capital One Arena is or Verizon or MCI Center, wherever you want to start dating yourselves here. I remember when the parking lot, just the park near the arena, was just dirt.
Well, it
Now
wasn't
there's
even their parking lot. It was like,
China's thing was the
come
China,
down to Jim Bob's parking, pay $20.
and literally was
You
right
might
next to
be
the
able
arena
to
too.
leave.
Well, half the signs in from Chinatown. That was always
Is that
the
where it
funniest
was?
part.
I don't remember. It was long. It was
It was
20 years ago.
It's
almost.
borderline. Well, it still is. If you do a street view of it, you'll see the sign where you go to one side, it says Capital One Arena. The other side, it just says Capital One, but underneath it in Chinese, it says something.
All right, so I'm going to throw this out there. 20 years or 19 years later, almost 20 years. Why didn't we go get some freaking good Chinese food? Why did we spend way too much money for overpriced wings?
The ESPN zone.
But seriously, think about it. Why didn't we go get some cheap, really good Chinese food? Me and you were essentially broke. Your brother and your cousin had jobs, like good jobs at the time.
No,
we did not.
We could have definitely had some good Chinese food since we were right there. I mean,
we could have banged out like dollar egg rolls.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the arena is literally borderlining the Chinatown right there. So, yeah, always a good question. Always a good question. Too bad we don't have the answers for it, but
I don't know if there's. I mean, let's just. We have this as the first topic of the evening, but I don't know if we can really stretch this one out for a half hour.
No. Oh, I know we can. Because I was actually going to say, what do you think of the can't talk tonight? The picture I sent you, where it had the Coyotes' value compared to.
Oh, geez, I don't even know where that is. I was going to say, do we want to talk about the $700 million man? Oh, there we go. So the Coyotes franchise is worth less than Shohei Ohtani's contract. That's hilarious.
Isn't that wrong to begin with? Is one person valued over?
You need to flash that up in the video of the podcast so people can see it on YouTube. So the Coyotes' entire franchise value is $675 million. Shohei's contract is $25 million more than that, which is hilarious. But yeah, let's get into that because it's so fascinating to me.
Well, look at the Coyotes. They're looking to purchase land and build an arena,
which is smart, actually. If you think about it, it's smart though.
If they can keep it because of their luck anymore. They've been having bad luck.
They do well. They're a hockey team in Arizona.
But they've been having some bad luck there.
They're playing in a 5,000 seat college arena. Which how does that look on TV? I've yet to see one of their games.
It looks like a college game.
It's pretty obvious.
It's obvious that it looks like a college game. I mean, it does not. When you look at it because I remember when they did the first game, because they had the whole big thing of it at Mullet Arena. Yes, that's the name.
Yeah, I know.
Perfect, which is perfect, the mullet. But it literally looked like you're watching a college game on TV. Because the arena is looking like a college, because that's what it is. And it just has that look to it, not like when you see an NHL arena, see the crowd how it is. It doesn't look like that.
Well, the reason I asked is because the Senators used to play in it was the Ottawa Civic Center then. When they played there, it was only like a 6,000 seat arena. And I'm sure and the reason that sticks out to me is because there's one half of the arena that is just tiered seating going up. And then the other half is like a couple rows and then a wall. So, like, how do you the visual aspect of it as a fan watching on TV can't be. It's got to be interesting how they hide the obvious flaws of the arena.
Well, Well, think about having a televised NHL game at the old Hershey Arena.
Yeah, but so here's the thing about the Hershey Arena. Both
Nosebleeds, you just sit there and just kind of
visually-
like hunched over at the very top of the nosebleeds.
well, I understand that, and we can get into that real quick here because so the Hershey Arena is legendary, not just for hockey but also for aforementioned pro wrestling. And the Hershey Arena was featured on WWF Saturday Night's Main Event numerous times in the 80s, back when it was on NBC. To the point where, like, I can watch an episode and I know exactly, before they even say where it's at, I know it's the Hershey Park Arena because of how it looks. Because the way the seating is, like, you'll have one row and then the next row above it isn't, it's not like a flush straight line down. It's but it looks cool. It looks tiered, and it's a cool visual on TV. But I mean, the fact that you could get 7,000 people in there is pretty goddamn unreal.
It's impressive.
And the reason I know about the nosebleed seats is because when we went to Saturday Night's Main Event when I was 5 years old in 1989, we had the nosebleed seats.
Oh,
the Wink 104 ad was right behind me.
Oh yeah, I've watched hockey games from up there, hunched over, feet tucked underneath, so you can at least sit right.
I can specifically remember my dad saying, "Hey, there's Hulk Hogan," and I, being a 5-year-old, being completely honest, going, "Where?" Because it was just a big mess of people down there. But anyway, we're really sidebarring tonight, and I'm good with it, but you may not, the listeners. So, I've had some people reach out to me and ask me my opinion on Ohtani's contract. And not that I'm an expert by any means, but apparently having a podcast means that people do reach out to you and ask you your opinion. Not that I'm mad about it by any means. I just don't think of myself as, like, I'm not Stephen A. Smith, or I'm not any of these people with valid opinions. I'm just some schmuck talking on the internet.
Hey, but that's where schmucks really start.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
It's it's a ton of money. It is. And everyone was expecting Juan Soto to get $500 million, which, update from last episode, he did end up going to the Yankees.
Okay. I didn't see that part yet.
Oh yeah, he went to the Yankees like the first day of it was eligible to trade, he went.
Yeah,
everyone was expecting.
The only thing that came up on my newsfeed was this. That's all that was the big headline across the sports feeds. Was this part? Was a $700 million man.
Everyone was expecting him to get a big deal.
He got a big deal.
Yeah, he got the biggest deal. Let's put this into perspective. Bryce Harper in 2019 had the biggest deal in baseball for 11 days. 11 days later, the Angels signed Mike Trout to the then biggest deal. And it's just been topped almost every season since. I don't see anyone topping this at any time in the future.
Will there be a $1 billion contract? You say you may not, you don't see it, but...
Well, okay, 39 years ago, Mike Schmidt had the highest contract in baseball at $1 million. 39 years later, the highest contract in baseball is $700 million. It's a little... that's a tough pill to swallow when you think about it.
Yeah.
Just how... And I know there's a push for a luxury cap, a luxury cap in baseball. You can only max out at so high of a deal and whatnot. It's tough to really determine what someone's worth as an athlete.
Well, the thing is, though,
with Ohtani already having Tommy John, I mean, he'll probably end up being a pitcher back to his normal form in another season. This season's basically going to be him as a DH for the whole season.
The fact that he's making close to $6 million a month.
Well, he's not. I don't know if you did you see this? You may not have seen this. So he's deferring like $680 million to the very end of his deal. He's taking like $2 million, $1 to $2 million every year until the final year of the deal.
Oh wow. No, I did not see that one. I did see where one of the stipulations were, I think it was the GM has to stay in control of the in his position or he's gone. I did see that on ESPN with the contract.
Well, the belief is amongst a lot of baseball fans is that the general manager is actually the person making the decisions in game. That their manager is pretty much just a figurehead doing what he's being told by the general manager. Here's another thing with the Dodgers. They did win that World Series, and they are almost always in the mix in the playoffs, but they haven't quite gotten it done since then. I understand how Ohtani could be that match to light the fire for this team. But I believe we even talked about it when they signed Freeman, that Freeman could be the match to ignite this team. What happens if you have all these matches and they're all duds?
It's happened.
And I shouldn't say it that way. I'm just saying
that's the way it is. That's literally the way it is. You can have it's like always. It's like when a team's rebuilding, you get that first round pick. That first round pick may be a big flop. This is almost the same concept. They could get
Ryan Leaf.
I mean, how many times have we seen that where big players get big name, get big deals and get turned out to be nothing.
Right. And that happens quite a bit. I don't know. As a baseball fan, he is a once in a generation talent. There's no doubt about that. I don't know. The Dodgers are constantly in this situation where they're contenders, but they never quite get it done since they won that World Series. Do they finally get it? Is like I said, is he that linchpin to set it off? We don't know. But that's a high risk, high reward situation because one really bad injury and this contract looks totally different. And you can say that about any big money contract.
Well, when we said that, the first thing that came to mind was the Islanders player, Rick DiPietro, where he signed a huge contract and then got injured that season and hasn't played since. And his contract, I think, ends in, 5 years. I think till 29 so basically he'll be getting paid until 29.
Oh boy.
And Islanders will continue to pay $1.5 million annually until the end of the 28-29 season.
That's phenomenal. Good for him. That's just someone who has a great agent. So he's been out of the game for 10 years.
Yeah. And he's going to be getting paid for the next 5.
Again, great agent.
Because it was originally a 15-year, $67,500,000 contract with the Islanders, is what he signed.
Had something, just lost it. That's great.
Story of our lives.
That's the kind of night I'm having, man. Other breaking news. Just announced today, Cole Hamels is going to be retiring he's going to sign a one-day contract to retire as a member of the Phillies. My exact quote on the Drunk Phils fan Facebook page is, "It's about damn time." He was clinging on to his hopes of having one last great run, and I'm glad he's accepting that it just isn't going to happen. It is going to be Friday, June 21st, in a game against the Diamondbacks. He will be retiring as a Philadelphia Philly.
Well, there you go. I mean, he was a great pitcher, but
He was, but he hasn't been. And
well,
there were
that
a
was that
lot of
key word.
fans.
That was that key word. There was.
There were a lot of fans in the last couple seasons who wanted to have a reunion of sorts, if you will. I was never really buying in on that. Maybe as a reliever, because I just knew he didn't have the gas anymore. He was a hard throwing pitcher, and those arms have a shelf life. Conversely, like we were talking about last episode with Nola is not a super hard throwing pitcher, so he could pitch conceivably fine into this contract that he signed. He could be a Jamie Moyer type. You just wait and see, but hard throwing pitchers have a shelf life, and Cole Hamels was trying desperately to outlive that shelf life. I'm glad he will sign a 1-day deal and retire as a Phil, because that's the only proper way to do it.
Well, when you won the World Series with
he was MVP.
Yeah, I was going to say the MVP, the NLCS MVP as well. I mean, it just kind of fits for him to be, and plus that was the longest team he was on in his career were the Phillies.
Yeah. So
and he was from 06 to 15.
So his last game with the Phils was in 2015. The next day was Aaron Nola's first game.
Jeez.
Talk about bridging the two eras.
I'll say that's definitely a bridge, because wasn't it a no hitter?
Hamels' last game was a no hitter. Yeah, he was so good. When he was in his prime, he was good to watch. Oh, and I guess let's hit the other one. What was it? The Pats are going to sever ties with Bill Belichick at the end of the season.
Yes, that was one of the big things
that's
I
about
heard.
damn time too. We clearly found out when Brady won
One
in
with Tampa, it wasn't just Belichick.
It wasn't just Belichick, and he's proven that over and over again the last few seasons as well with how that team has performed.
Well, I think the Patriots, since Brady left, has only made the playoffs one time. Or I should say one playoff game since then.
It's probably time for a culture change in that locker room and in that franchise. Now,
the thing is, though, being Belichick is not just the head coach, but the general manager, are they going to try? He's going to move to just move as the GM? Or just out completely?
I think he's probably out completely. I would bet he's probably out completely.
I mean,
and here's
I
the
would
thing.
imagine just because of how long he's been there,
I bet
and how everything is going down.
An in-studio analyst gig just waiting for him.
Probably, wouldn't doubt it.
But I think they're one of a few teams that are probably due for a culture change. Mike Tomlin has been a great coach for the Steelers.
Belichick's been with the Patriots since 20, or I'm not sorry, since 2000.
Since 2000.
Yeah, I'm just
it's all right.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah, since 2000. So I mean, he's had a good run.
He did have a good run, and there's nothing wrong with changing with the times and moving on. Just because you were successful before doesn't mean you can always be successful.
I mean, he has 8 Super Bowls. He has 8 rings.
I mean, to put it in perspective, just locally college football wise, Joe Paterno of the final 10 years was not the Joe Paterno of the 70s or 80s. You can't always hold on to that winning legacy, and sometimes it's okay to walk away and move on. I mean, good for him. He had a great coaching career with the Pats, but based on the last few seasons, it was time for him. I think he was exposed too. I think we saw That it wasn't just him, and he might have been the brains, but he wasn't the one on the field actually making it happen. And there's something to be said for that aspect of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was a mastermind, with the way he coaching, but the players are the one that execute the actual, everything else. He's there, he's orchestrating everything, but the players are the ones
Right.
actually doing it. So make him look good. But like we just said, when Brady left, well,
The wheels kind of went off. I mean, they tried, and that's fine, but I think at this point, you need to get a new GM in, you need to get a new coach in. I mean, if you're cutting ties, cut ties completely,
whole new structure,
and move forward. Yep.
just do a whole restructure. I mean, the Patriots going to do a rebuilding process.
And all great teams go through rebuilding processes.
Oh yeah. Well, Patriots probably went through a good rebuilding process before Brady even started, when they had Bledsoe and all that. I mean, it just takes time. And what's that?
I said Bledsoe.
Probably some people don't even know who that is.
I'm very certain some people don't know who that is, but I'm good with this first period. I don't know about you.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's the end of the first half. We'll be right back.